In this episode, we talked to Julian Reis, who is both the founder of Skin Laundry and Superordinary. Skin Laundry is a laser facial company that has 68 locations. Superordinary is an agency that helps brands, creators, and consumers connect in smarter ways through direct shopping. You're going to hear all about it in this episode. I can't wait for you to hear it. Okay, all right. So, Julian, we are so excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself before we jump in.
Yeah, sure. So I am a flattering 50 years old now. I never thought, 50 would happen
Looking
so
great.
quickly. I'm an identical twin brother, a twin, and my twin brother Justin lives in LA too now. We haven't lived in the same city for over 20 years, so now we live within 500 meters of each other, so I feel very fortunate. I have 3 teenage boys. One's a musician living in London, one's studying Japanese living in Tokyo, and my 16-year-old Jamie is at school here in LA and he wants to be in fashion. That's the family, and I moved here about 5 years ago. Previous to that, I was living in Shanghai. I grew up my whole entire life in Asia. And my mother's Australian, my dad's Portuguese Chinese.
Wow, that's so interesting.
That's a mouthful, sorry.
That is a mouthful. It's so interesting. Your kids they all sound very cool.
Cool, I know.
And they must have got a really cool upbringing. Where did you raise them?
So the boys were born in Singapore, and they've lived in, I think, 5 countries now.
Wow.
Singapore, Thailand, Hong Kong, London, and now they're, citizens of the world. Yeah, I think, being afforded to grow up in different countries is probably the biggest gift that anyone could have. You both sound like you love to travel as well. Mm-hmm. And, I feel very fortunate now that they're very happy to pick up their bags and leave and go to another country and be by themselves and find, be excited by that.
It probably gives them such a unique perspective on the world that you can't really get if you're just born and raised in one U.S. city.
I would say it makes you smarter, too.
Oh, for sure.
As someone who's lived in 10 countries.
I mean, it does.
You always get the thirst. You always want to travel. That's, probably to a detriment. I just can't wait. People hate getting on a plane for long, 15 hours. I find that very peaceful.
I'm the same. I have to have flights booked.
Yes.
For me to feel like I'm not just stuck. In my future, I'm I know I have this coming
It's
up.
in your DNA.
Yeah.
It becomes in your DNA.
Yeah, I can't sit still.
And I think there's a curiosity to explore not only the world, but entrepreneurship.
I think meeting people is the biggest gift.
Yes.
And building these meaningful relationships with people and having friends all around the world and bumping into them and them bumping into you. That's what it's all about.
I love that. So, you've founded 2 companies. We're going to talk about both of them.
Yep.
Very impressive and very different companies. So, what was your first, venture into entrepreneurship? Was it Skin Laundry? And for the audience, tell us about Skin Laundry.
Yeah, sure. So, I think, entrepreneurship really comes from within because I think that my career started off in finance. I was always interested in being a trader. I watched Wall Street as a kid, and I thought, what a career! If I could do this, it was fun and it was exciting. It was a lot of adrenaline. So I joined an investment bank in New York. I joined J.P. Morgan. That was my first job out of university, and all I remember was, it was great and it was fun. And after a certain amount of time, I was like, I hate working for these big organizations, being told that I had to get to the office at 5:30 and you have to stay till 6 p.m. Even though you finished your work at 3, you'd have to sit there because, someone's going to work twice as hard for half your money and sit in your seat. I was always trained in that, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So eventually in 2003, I left the investment banking world and started my own company. It was very daunting because I had just got married.
And this wasn't Skin Laundry?
No, it was a hedge fund. And I didn't know what a hedge fund was, to be honest. There was 3 people in my company. I literally had an office which was 600 square feet. And I said, you know what? The worst thing that could happen is I have to go back to a bank and get a job again. And it's easier said than done. But I think when I thought about it in that context, I thought, what risk do I have? I have no children. I just got married. The worst thing is I had a little bit saved and, I could go back. So I started my career as an entrepreneur then.
Wow.
managing money for institutions and individuals. And it wasn't an easy road, but I did that for a number of years, close to 15 years.
Wow.
That sparked my dream, and I don't think I've ever looked back. And even if I had to, I wouldn't go and work at an organization. I'd try and figure out how to do something and, rub two sticks together to start a business.
I totally agree. And once you have started a business, you're like, I can't work for
You can't.
anyone else. I just
Never
have to
again.
start a different business.
Yeah. I mean, I think from what I know about the two of you, freedom is everything. Being able to design your life the way that you want to do it, and how, looking after your family and being with the people you want to hang out with, it's what it's all about. Like life is so short.
I totally agree. I'm always saying that. I'm like, life is short. Go on the trip. Do the thing.
Life is
That's
short.
definitely
Let's get drunk.
Natalie's perspective.
No time to waste. Okay, so then that pretty much, what year, let's talk about Skin Laundry.
Sure.
Tell the audience what it is, what year that you launched it.
Yeah,
It sounds like it was your second company.
Yeah,
Which is crazy.
so 2013, we had moved to Los Angeles, and this was the time where Dry Bar, which was this blowout service that was popping up everywhere. And I had all this information about what was going on in Asia at the time, which was very much beauty focused. And, the trend in Asia was at the forefront of beauty, whether it's ingredients or formulations. But the one thing that I noticed in Asia was that beauty was more, they were using lasers in all different formats to benefit the skin. And with lasers, it's something that you can see immediately with a treatment. And everyone in the US at the time who were using lasers were, dermatologists were charging you $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 to do very severe traumatic treatments, which would leave your face blistered and very red. One of the things that I learned in Asia was that, you could use much lower dosages of the laser and use it. It's like running a marathon. If you did it over time, your skin would, improve 10% every single time you went to the clinic. So when I came to the US, I was like, wow, there's no one doing this over here. And, people are starting to believe in this, pay per service treatment with Dry Bar, $45, $50 for a blowout. So I was like, you know what, just go for it, try it. So I bought the laser equipment from Korea, shipped it over to my house here in Los Angeles, put it into the garage. And obviously in America, you need to have a doctor that who oversees the clinic. So we had to build a whole telemedicine process so that we could onboard clients or patients under the HIPAA rule and do the treatment. So I had to come up with a name, and I was like, what do I call this thing?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I always believe in creating a name that someone has to say, why is that? And, and one of my friends had a surf brand called Ruka, RVCA, and I was like, the thing what I loved about that brand was like, I always
we know that brand.
Yeah,
That's
I
a
don't
huge
know,
brand.
why is it RV and why do they pronounce it Ruka?
Mm-hmm.
So Skin Laundry was, came to me because, essentially what we were doing was cleaning your skin and making it stronger, cleaner, and shinier, and vaporizing all the impurities in your skin. So we started the clinic, and all I remember was on Montana Street in Santa Monica. And I opened the doors, no one came in. And I was like, holy moly, what am I doing here? In Asia,
That's scary. That's a scary feeling.
It's a scary feeling. There's tons of foot traffic, in other cities. But LA, as you know, the foot traffic is minimal. I kind of just opened the doors and saw what happened. My first month, I think we did like $5,000 in sales, which is, can't even cover the rent. And you have these moments in time when you're thinking, should I be doing this? Should I be raising money? Should I be doing this? Is the brand right? Do I understand the taste and the cultures of people? Is it right on the American skin? So it was hard. So that's how it started. And, how did I price it too? I priced it at the same price as Dry Bar, thinking that, just because, it's a 10-minute treatment. Dry Bar takes 45 minutes.
Oh, it's only a 10-minute treatment?
Yeah, it was only 10 minutes. So, it was really hard in the beginning. And then I decided to, go into doing Google ads and advertising on Facebook. And I started doing first time free. So giving the consumer, the most important thing was getting them in the chair getting them to look in the mirror after the treatment, and then they have the oh wow moment, like my skin looks so much better.
What is it about these lasers? Because even with 10 minutes now, like I thought it takes 30 to 40 minutes. Like, what is it doing to your skin that, or how did you know it was going to create that kind of value? Just because you had seen it, or like, what's the science behind the value?
Yeah.
I mean, we live in LA, so like most of us probably have used lasers,
Yeah.
and it's now moved far along in terms of the education around it. But I think most people still haven't really ventured down there and don't understand like why it's working.
Yeah, so with lasers, and obviously I'm not a doctor, but I can tell you, what we've learned over the years. So, within your pores, you collect a lot of bacteria impurities in your pores, and if you have a laser and you put it on a black piece of carbon paper, and you take the laser and the wand and you put it over this black carbon paper, it removes all the black off the paper, and you can imagine the impurities deep inside your pores. And I always do it when I go to Skin Laundry and I go back regularly, and you can smell everything that's being vaporized in your skin, and it's like, oh my gosh, that's all that stuff that's in my skin, and it goes down probably a half an inch into your skin, and what it does, it tightens, and it reduces the melanin in your skin. So a lot of the dark spots that you have, and many women get it from pregnancy as well.
Yep.
And obviously melanin cannot go away permanently, but it always comes back. But it does help with sunspots. But it also tightens your skin, and you can tell people that go to use Skin Laundry regularly. And I was like, wow, this is such a great treatment, and it does work on all skin types. So really focused on the efficaciousness of the treatment and making sure people saw what happened after the treatment.
Yeah.
And how often should somebody go?
So it depends, but most people go, I would say, twice a month to go. And originally when we were pricing the treatment, we priced it too low because I think people didn't believe in the treatment.
Yeah.
And I think that went against us, and that was a big lesson for me.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you want to create a price for everyone, which is sometimes not the right thing to do, because people start to disbelieve in the treatment. If someone said, "Oh, here's a treatment or a drug," and it's $3, you're like, they can't do anything. And lasers in the US was selling for $2,000 to $5,000, but what we wanted to do was make it more accessible. So we ended up landing on a price between $150 and $250, which was the right price, because then I think people really started to believe in the business.
Yeah, you don't want it too cheap for sure. You want it, the best for your skin.
That's
so that
right.
makes sense.
Yeah.
So, okay, you launched in Brentwood. That's expensive. I know that.
Yeah.
Did you get funding?
So in the beginning, we didn't. Eventually, we did have to take funding. I think the business for the first couple of years was loss-making. And that was partially because, I was adamant that, pricing should be cheap, because the mission was really to make laser facials affordable and for everyone. Everyone should have this amazing treatment, and everyone should be able to afford it. But that went against us because the foot traffic was lower, the customer acquisition cost was much, much higher than expected. And, we were trying to fight a battle because, people didn't believe in it. So it took time, and, I have this thesis that it takes at least 5 years to build a brand. Brands
Tell
can't
us about that.
I just think that, in this day and age, any brand that comes along within 12 months, they go up like this, they can come down very quickly, and the rollover curve is much shorter than expected. And I think that for brands to stand the test of time, and it's harder and harder to build a brand than ever before. So I just think that to build a true brand, it just takes time, and you shouldn't try and rush it. And, what you did with Bala is exceptional, right? You're continually building that brand, and that's you're fighting the good fight. So I think that eventually with Skin Laundry, I was trying to build a national brand very quickly. So I was opening up stores in New York and, Arizona, and I was like, I've never been to any of these markets before. And each location would have different demographics, different spending power, different foot traffic. So I learned a lot from coming from the trading side to opening a beauty brand. So I would say it was a lot more work.
And the strategy of getting people to come in for free, like how did you make that work from a financial perspective? And
Yeah.
did the repeat ultimately pay off so that your numbers worked out in the long term?
So that really did work for us. So we had this promotion called First Time Free, FTF. That was the acronym internally. And what we realized was as long as we had them in the chair, we could convert, and our conversion into selling them a package was almost 80%. And because a laser is just electricity and human labor, and we had free capacity because what we did was we put a laser between two rooms so we could pivot between two rooms and double the capacity of the clinic. That always would allow us to have someone in the chair on the other side of the room and we could flip in between. So what I've, understanding capacity utilization of your clinic was very important because if we were to charge such a cheap price, we needed to make sure we could utilize that capacity as and turn over those rooms as fast as possible. So that was our strategy, and still to this day, bringing the customer in and getting them in the chair was the most important strategy.
And you talked about then also like going national really fast. Like, why did you decide to do that before you had proven out profitability in one location?
We talk about the oh shit moment. I think that was one of my biggest mistakes was going too quickly to a different state. Having grown up in Singapore and Hong Kong and these small markets, we could walk around the island if we wanted to do in a day. And here's I'm in the US trying to, boil the ocean, which was really the wrong strategy. I think what I was, the story I told myself was, we could learn more about the different customer segments in each of the markets. But in hindsight, we should have really dominated one area and proven it out in a market that may not have been the best market. Like LA is a very, very tough market. It's expensive. It's hard to get around. The consumer is very spread out. If we going back in time, I think we should have opened in New York first because we would have, it's a very dense, high spending, quick. Everyone wants a quick thing, whatever it is. I think that would have been a better market to launch in and focus there.
But do you not think that from an educate or like an understanding perspective or how people value their spend, the LA market is definitely someone who's like willing to risk a little more spend time and testing around looking good?
Yeah, I think that the what's happened in the last 5 years and the willingness for a consumer to spend on themselves, whether it's beauty or health. I mean, the massive trend in health now is is Ozempic and all the GLP-1 trends. It's just incredible that trend. And so I think back then, the market was still we were a little early, to be honest. I think we were probably 3 or 4 years too early. And educating someone about lasers back then, to put a laser on your face was like the heaviest thing to do. People are holding chairs and
now you're like numb me.
Now everyone's like, do you mind turning up the dial? Put it at 20.
It doesn't hurt. Is it working?
And they're like crying inside. Everyone wants bigger results, faster. Everyone's so much more impulsive.
You were at the forefront of this, like first to market. So how quickly were there other competitors?
So there definitely were competitors in the hair removal space. I think hair removal was a very big dominated market by very large chains. I don't think there really was someone who came in and just focused on one treatment as we did at Skin Laundry. So I'm really proud of where it's got to. And, I'm no longer active in the company. I still sit on the board and still a major shareholder. But I'm really proud of, how it's developed. And it's now, developed outside the US. We're in the Middle East and London and Hong Kong. And it's been great to see, incredible success in these foreign markets. And, there's always when you go online and I look at Skin Laundry, I found someone had copied a trademark and opened one in Sri Lanka, and I was like,
wow, that seems risky. Opening a whole,
and you start seeing people copying your name, and and I feel really great when I see someone like copying your name because you put some thought into it, and that's almost some of the biggest kudos you can get.
Yeah. I mean, they must think the brand carries
Yeah.
trust,
Yeah.
Yes.
right? That people know it and they see it and they're going to be like, oh, you're part of the same group. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, the thing that we also did was we try to make medical facials cool. Like, it's very hard. And, for someone that grew up in Asia to go to the US, which is one is, incredibly thankful to come over here. But to build something, I looked at the time, James Peirce was just starting, and I thought, whenever I walked into that shop, I was like taken away to this other, place. And I was like, one day, we could bring that feeling to, to another country, and someone could walk into our Skin Laundry and feel taken away. So building this lifestyle brand. So when you walked into a Skin Laundry, there were pictures of people surfing, and, we used wainscoting on the walls and made it feel very California. So I was very proud of building that feeling when you walked into the store, and try to make it not about a doctor and this is and oversell that feeling too much.
Yeah, because you guys, you nailed the feeling, you nailed the customer experience and the branding of that, and you have to nail that for people to want to come back to a membership experience. How did you do that? Did you hire people on the team that were experts, or did you it was your gut?
So a lot of it was done from my direction. So I worked with an architect, and I said, this is what I'd like it to feel like. I did all the photography with a friend of mine, and we basically just built the store, and we iterated on it. I'm proud to say that it hasn't changed so much from the original design and idea that we gave it. The logo's changed a few times, but that's all natural. But it's great to get so much positive customer feedback about, oh my God, I went to Skin Laundry, it saved my life. My kids who just went through puberty and had severe acne, and look at the before and afters. That's really what it's about. And still to this day, it's really, the mission hasn't really changed. It's really making it more affordable to everyone. It's not a franchise model. We built these corporate owned stores. And it requires a ton of capital. So it was a business that you couldn't go in lightly. We had to raise money and build the business. But today we're it's a profitable company, and the business continues to grow. And I always get excited when I go to London and I see it there. And there's a store. There used to be a store in Liberty of London, and now it moved around the corner in Carnaby Street, and it's pretty cool just to go and see it.
Yeah, I definitely know the brand from the UK. As somebody who came from finance, did funding the business come easily? And why did you decide not to do that from the beginning?
I think when you're raising money, there's two ways to look at fundraising, and I think a lot of founders, get so hung up on, there's so many questions to ask: who's the right investor? What's the business model? And we're as a entrepreneur, you're really going for the fences here. You don't do it because you just want to make something okay. You want to do it because you want to build something special. You're on a personal mission to build something fantastic and great. I think that's what most people are. I mean, I feel like I get so excited when we're building a company because you think about it all the time. I'm sure you guys do too. You wake up in every moment of the day. So when I fundraise, I think, it's very important that you have the vision of where you want to take your company, where it's going to be. In 10 years' time, it's going to do this. And I think fundraising in the beginning, it's really an idea on the back of a napkin, and you don't know whether it's going to work. But once you've got that proof point and you can point to something, it becomes very much easier to raise money because you've actually proven it to yourself. I think raising money is definitely an art, and I think if it's too easy, then something's not right, because there always should be a friction. Whenever you close a deal, if you both feel like you got a bad deal, that's probably a good deal, because it takes time, right? It means it's been negotiated. But I typically think times have definitely changed. I think it's a lot easier to start a brand and a company now, but figuring out who to raise money from and when is definitely something that a lot of entrepreneurs want to know and how to do it. But I think the longer you can bootstrap it, the better.
Yes, I agree with that. And I'm
We always disagree on this.
I know we have many disagreements. Okay, and you now have 68 locations, but you are on the board and you've sold the company. So tell us, like, at what point you decided to sort of make that transition.
Yeah, so we haven't sold the business yet. It's still running, and we're still shareholders. I think what I realized was, as the business started to get bigger and bigger, and we had so many locations, we needed someone with experience and a skill set of managing a multi-unit business. First of all, I had no background in managing multi-unit businesses before, and I think that we looked for someone who really came from that pedigree and that experience. So I was very willing to hand it over. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like so big now that we need some help, and someone who can really go in and understand like the unit economics of all these different locations and managing, hundreds of staff and things like that. So at the time I passed the baton to someone else, and I found myself unemployed again.
So you basically sold majority of it, and
I didn't sell anything.
Anything.
No.
Okay, you just
Still
brought
shareholder.
someone in.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's the way to do it, because I think the logistics of running an operation that big, it just becomes a different thing.
It's also a new company in every location because you're rebuilding liquidity there.
That's right.
It's not like your customers. I mean, I'm sure there's like some rare occasions where somebody in London might also go in New York, but the reality is that like 99.9% of your customers are new. Yeah. So you have to get new customers every single time.
It's crazy. We have customers not so long ago. Some of our customers have been with us for over 10 years. They literally have got my number, and they'll phone me up and saying, I'm landing into JFK. Can you open up the store in Midtown for me? I've been a customer for 10 years. I need to do it before I go for my meeting tomorrow morning.
I mean,
that's crazy.
If they're 10 minutes, you should do airports.
I know. I mean,
yeah, that's a good idea.
It's like that's a great idea, actually.
It's like the
team.
The quick nail salons.
Exactly.
I would totally do that.
100%
Literally
do a
every
10-minute
flight,
list.
any price.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
I'll
give you credit on that one if you ever do it.
She gets a free airport laser facial, everyone. If you've ever thought about starting a company or you're already in it and figuring things out as you go, I wrote Bootstrap Empire for you. It's the real story of how we built Bala from a scrappy side hustle into a global brand, without a traditional playbook or unlimited capital. This book has the lessons and advice I wish I had from day one. Think of it as your mentor in a book format. Bootstrap Empire is out now and available on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes & Noble, and more. If you're building something from scratch, this one's for you. Visit bootstrap-empire.com to learn more. What year are we when you opened Superordinary?
So 2018 was when Superordinary was first born. And I'll tell you how that happened. Yes. So I was in Hong Kong at the time, and I was, in my previous life as a trader, I was, trading a lot of the Asian markets. And as a macro trader, what your job is to really think about, where the world's going. And I typically try and think of things in units of 3 years. So I think about, how things are going to look in 3 years. So I think about, population, currencies, commodities, interest rates, and try and formulate a view that's, a hot take or very different to what everyone else is thinking. And we're paid on putting on positions and thinking through how we're going to express those views. And at the time, I was very curious about what was going on in China. This is a country that is the second largest in the world from a GDP perspective, but wildly misunderstood. And I think, the best way to learn is to, pick up your backpack and get on a plane and go there. So I went to Shanghai, and what I found when I landed there was this incredible city with over 20 million people who were very ambitious, highly educated. We think about education in the sense that from a technical point of view, these, where we would have one, they would have 10,000 people who are specialized in a particular industry or expertise. And we also had in Shanghai at the time, there was no websites. There still are. It's all in these super apps. So coming from the US where we had skinlaundry.com, you go over there. If you're not on Alibaba or TikTok over there, you're nowhere. And I started to think, wow, how do you build a brand in a market where you don't have your own website? And very quickly, I started to see all these, what they call these KOLs or these wahongs, where they're using their phones and they're walking through these shopping malls, filming themselves. And that kind of like clicked for me. And I was like, well, if we decide that TVs are the point of entry for us as consumers in the West, and now that in the East they're using their phones as a way to distribute content, what would the world look like in 10 years' time if everyone's a distribution point of view, distributing content, distributing product? So I thought, wow, there's something happening here, and enough for me to move to Shanghai and figure this out. So I moved over to Shanghai, and I said, I had some experience in beauty, even though prior to Skin Laundry I had none. And I said, well, why don't we set up a company where we brought Western brands and help them grow in China, but using creators and influencers and KOLs to distribute the content and the product. So very quickly we started a business, and I went to the US and found a couple of brands that were willing to. They're like, yeah, we're not doing any business there. You take the brand and see what you can do. So the first brands we started with was Pharmacy, which was a brand from the US. And I think in the first year we did like close to 2 million in sales. And the second year I think it was like 25 million in sales.
And where were you selling? And give me a little bit of an elevator pitch though on a clear, what is Superordinary?
Yeah.
How do you describe it to people?
So Superordinary has gone through a transformation, and you'll hear why afterwards. But so Superordinary started off by helping Western brands scale in China. That was really, and the underlying thesis was social commerce was going to be the trend over the next decade.
Yeah.
So in 2018, we weren't selling products on the equivalent of the Amazons over there. What we were doing was helping brands scale using creators. So we were there seeding products to creators, getting them to talk about the product, and then would convert on these super apps like TikTok and
is WeChat still big?
Yep, and WeChat. Yeah. So we were using WeChat groups, which are like Discord communities for people to communicate and learn about the product. So it was very much a media-driven business. We did take inventory, and we very early on started to get a lot of wins. We created, I think, number 2 second largest skincare brand in 2 years in China. And that was a cross-border brand using Pharmacy. That was Pharmacy. We then started Drunk Elephant in China, Olaplex, Supergoop, The Ordinary, and even till this day, we still manage a lot of those brands in China.
And so was it just the kind of agency side of connecting to the, let's call them influencers, or was it also the distribution side of like holding their products there and managing the shipment of the product on purchasing?
Yeah, that's right. So we'd have to own the inventory because you couldn't drop ship from the US into China. And I think at the time, a lot of the brands didn't want to, take on that risk. And it's even to this day, it's still very, very complicated to handle the logistics, the distribution, the payments. It's very, very complex. So we did everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have a business idea that I really want to talk to you about after this.
Let's do it.
Like
that does sound incredibly complex. You choose
really
complex businesses.
Complex businesses, some people, and I think that's where, we learned a lot. I think, the time we spent in China and what the Chinese were able to show and prove about social commerce. And when we define social commerce, we always say that instead of people finding products on Amazon, it's products finding people. And how products find people is through the algorithm of everything we scroll through on TikTok and YouTube, that it predicts that, you're like this and Lana will like that, and I'm going to serve you that product, and you're going to, this third, fourth time you see it, you're going to purchase it. And I really thought, wow, this is something special. It's the algorithm that really understands what you want and what you like and what your friends like and what probability you would also like that. So during COVID, unlike the US, the market in China shut down. When consumer confidence comes down, people stop spending. And that's always, and the Chinese government were very good in terms of like managing people's expectations, and confidence came down. So revenues came down, and we pivoted and we said, well, what we're going to have to do is let's go to the US and figure out, with the knowledge we know, can we build a business that's focused on social commerce? So Superordinary, and I call this 2.0, was really focused about how do we accelerate brands through these new distribution channels. At the time, live streaming wasn't a thing in the US, and this was in 2020, and everyone, kind of like poo-pooed the idea that live streaming would never work in America because it wasn't taking off. And the platforms at the time weren't servicing it. We had platforms, Amazon tried to do live streaming. There's a company called Flip Network. There's a couple of these brands that popped up, and my investors at the time said, "Oh, you should be doing live streaming." But in my opinion, live streaming it only works when the platform's ready for it. And what I mean by that is that platforms like TikTok are brilliant on entertainment. So they get you into the mix. You're always on the platform. If you look at the engagement on TikTok versus engagement on Netflix, it's like 10 times higher. And that's why I believe that the future of e-commerce is social commerce, where you're being entertained and then you're making a purchase. Yeah. So I really believe that we're like not even in the first real inning in the US. And I really believe the one thing that I believe that no one else is, that this is going to be the biggest trend over the next 10 years in the West. Because if you go to Europe, it's even a couple of years further behind than the US. So it's really exciting. And what we do now in the US is not only do we work with other brands, we're almost becoming like an entertainment company. We're creating entertainment with brands that people find on TikTok, which they'll drill down and end up purchasing the product. So coming full circle and living in Hollywood now and working with brands and creating amazing content with them, it's actually really fun, because people will find your product and said, "Oh, I saw the Bala Bangles on this show I was watching and I purchased it." Yeah. And you don't have to discount your product. They're finding it and they're like, "You know what? These are my people too."
It's so interesting. And when you showed me that dance video, and you could just click and buy that lipstick from it in a couple of buttons, it's genius. Like as a founder, I'm like, I want to use this, but I think I see where you're coming from on it's the future, and I think it's very interesting. You were like before TikTok Shop in America, so you were definitely on trend, because now TikTok Shop is blowing up years later.
Yeah, it's TikTok Shop. I can't even tell you how big it's going to become, because I think that when I see people always say social commerce should be on Amazon and should be on YouTube, and the platform really drives it. And when you have the whole ecosystem within an app, you don't have to leave the app to purchase. The creators are already in the app. They're getting paid within the app. The analytics are telling you, you should be doing this type of content, and you should be doing that type of content. This is the song you should be using. You should be doing a stitch with this person. I mean, it's so incredibly accurate, and it's getting faster and faster and better and better. Like, I challenge anyone to go on TikTok and spend 3 days scrolling and see what happens. Like, you will,
be poor.
Yeah, you'll be poor. But it's remarkable, because it's entertainment, and our attention spans collectively have got so short. I mean, I'm 50, and I just, you can't put me in front of a movie for 90 minutes. I just switch off.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I have to watch a show. Even then, I need my phone.
Yeah.
I also have to delete my app if I don't want to purchase things, like my Instagram app. Like if I'm I need to stop shopping, I can't go on Instagram.
Yeah.
And that's not even through purchasing through the existing content. That's just from ads.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, cute.
They know what you like.
Yeah.
They know what.
They know exactly what I like.
And they know what content you're being entertained with, and you'll find it always in your feed. It's really, and that's where I think there's a big opportunity right now, because I think as an entrepreneur, you've got to think about your brand as a media company. You have to tell that story. You have to be entertaining. Obviously, you have to have all your tenets of what you mean as a brand and how you show up. But I think it's exciting because, you can really express the brand in so many different ways and take a lot of risks. And you'll get the feedback very quickly whether people like it or not.
Yeah.
Within Superordinary, we have a business to, clip. And what that does is take pieces of content and we tell, all these creators create new pieces of content. Out of 1,000 pieces, maybe, 5% go viral. And when they go viral, they run for ages. And, you can really grow your brand so quickly in this day and age. Like, when you travel, I was recently in Copenhagen, and these restaurants which go viral because, a ton of tourists will go, this is the place where Dua Lipa went, and now there's a week ago there's no one there, and now there's like 1,000 people waiting to get in. It's crazy. Like
it's like Beachwood Cafe because of Harry Styles. It's like, why does this matter?
Yeah.
They're not still here.
Yeah, it's crazy. They ordered from this. It's kind of crazy.
Wow.
But that's what's so exciting about creating a brand today or a service. You can have an equal chance if you can figure that media angle out.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. So how big is the team now, and what is your involvement with Superordinary?
So I'm very active. It's the only thing I do. We build a business that really works with both creators and brands. Our goals are to be the best partners to all the creators. And in doing that, they work with us on content ideas and strategies to support brands. We recently did a microdrama with a creator here in LA called Alan Chicken Chow. He's got a channel called Alan's Universe, and we produced 15 episodes with a brand called Laneige, a Korean beauty brand.
That's the one you showed me, yep.
Yeah, the one I showed you, and it has over 200 million views in less than 20 days. And it's entertaining, it's fun to watch. The creators are amazing to work with, and these are things that we can do with the brands and really create much more awareness for them, which drives sales. So within Superordinary now, our goals are to really build out new channels for live streaming. We believe that building a beauty channel within social commerce within these platforms to be that point of discovery for brands is one of our goals and missions. And we work with hundreds of brands now, everyone from Disney to all the big beauty brands on TikTok. So we have about 1.2 million affiliates. So when it comes to finding the affiliates to promote your product, we have built our own technology that matches the creators. Well, I call them affiliates because that's all they do. They're just there to sell. It's not like on Instagram where they're there to post. These guys are there. They're waking up in the morning. They're posting to sell product and get their 30% commission. Wow. And some of them are making millions of dollars. And it's amazing because a lot of them are not in LA or New York. They're in the Midwest or in the South, and they know how to sell.
Wow.
That's crazy. Obviously the two businesses are so different. Like what do you find as the biggest difference between getting clients or customers, technically, like brands like Laneige or Disney versus like getting somebody to walk into a physical store? Like what is the difference in strategy of how to convert those two different entities?
Yeah, I think, actually converting the brands is not that hard, to be honest. I think, the vision is that social commerce is going to become the dominant way that people purchase products. And I think that's, educating the brands and telling them that that's where the world is going. And the reason why I back it up with is, 4 billion people today are on YouTube and TikTok every month. That's the monthly active users. That's more than half the universe, half the world, sorry. And if they're on those platforms and we're trying to sell them ads on TV, which no one's watching anymore, it just doesn't make any sense. So if social commerce is going to develop, whether we like it or not, it's going to be on those platforms. So telling the brands I think what's happened is that with inflation and with these changes in algorithms, cost of marketing and acquiring a customer has got so expensive because Facebook ads and Google search doesn't work as effectively as it did before. So trying to educate the brands to say, this is the new way to reach your customer, and TikTok is the platform for the customers to discover it, but the repeat purchases can happen on in-store or on Amazon. That's the challenge that we have, is telling the good word there. But I think over time, brands are realizing that brand marketing dollars and e-commerce performance marketing should collapse into one, so that they should treat what they do on TikTok as a brand building exercise. So doing things like micro dramas or micro format shows that, keep mentioning the brand is a really good way to elevate your brand without saying, hey, it's 50% off, go buy it here. So I think that, getting the brands to understand, a lot of brands didn't want to go on Amazon because they thought that was like, new eBay. But now they're really thinking that, geez, all these consumers, my my children, even I'm on TikTok, there's a reason to be there.
Yeah. Smart. So, okay, you have found success with both companies at this point. Like, what drives you to keep going and keep like reaching for more? And like, how do you define success now?
So I remember reading someone being asked that question before. I think for me, success is really one, family, time that I get with my kids and my wife, and being able to travel. To afford that, that's to me is like successes, and and obviously health and stuff. I mean, that's easy for me to say because I had early success in my life. But I really truly believe that, having fun is everything. Like, if you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't be doing it. Like, really, especially as a founder and a CEO, because people will realize very quickly whether you're faking it or if you've got negative energy when you show up at the office. I truly love going to the office. I bring my dog, Penny. We go and hang out. We hang out with...
we have the same dog name.
We hang out together. I do believe that success, depending on how you measure it, it should be one where it's all about, being happy and enjoying it.
I love that. And that's what keeps you going, because it's like, I actually like to work. So that's success if you like what you're doing.
You like what you're doing. Yeah. I mean, and also, I think the other success is in like being able to travel and being with your family and friends.
Yes, that's number one. I agree with that.
You just, if you can't do those things, that becomes very limiting. And also, I've seen a lot of personal friends who have stayed in big organizations and they've got to similar ages as me, and they're like, what am I doing with my life? And I think no one ever wants to be in that situation. We'd be like, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Yeah. And I think, God forbid that was something that, I had to deal with at a much later stage in my life. I'd be just thinking like, life's so precious. You want to do things today and go for it. So I think that's kind of success. How about you guys? What do you guys think of what's measure of success?
I agree with that. I mean, there's definitely, and maybe because I haven't reached it, but some like financial comfortability, and then it's ultimately freedom. It's like being able to work on things that excite me until they don't. And I think it's also important to say that even if you love your company and what you're doing, like 50% of it sucks. There's always parts that suck. It's not like you're going to start something and it's amazing every day.
100%.
But it sucks in such a different way to when you work for somebody else and you're just like showing up to work every day.
Yeah.
So I think like being able to be excited, I think we're like, we kind of obsess with feeling good. Like we're definitely like junkies for that feeling of like something big and new, and I think it's one of our downfalls because we can't focus, but you do get that so much more when you're doing your own thing.
Yeah. How about you, Natalie?
I say mine's definitely freedom. And it's because the freedom that you build, you get to choose what you want. You want to launch a podcast, you can go do that. For me, it's like I have the freedom to say no to things so that I can spend my days and like even during the day, like with my kids and while they're little. And so I think the freedom is probably the definition of success because it allows for everything. So very similar answer to all of you.
That's good. That's a good one.
$10 million. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's not enough.
Okay. So what advice would you give a first-time founder on building a brand that lasts? I mean, you talked about this a little bit. I agree with 5 years. It takes 5 years to build something great. And, we're all like have comparison to each other. And so we're like trying to rush and like launch here and be the fastest growing brand. But I believe that longevity is really the way to go. So what advice do you have for building that brand?
So this is going to be very different than, I would have said a couple of years ago. I think everyone, when you start a business, think about it through the lens of if you're watching this on a YouTube channel, and as a scripted YouTube channel, meaning it's a story about something with your branders in it. Imagine that creativity, whether it's you're opening a hair salon and it's the show sets is in this hair salon, and think about your company as a media business first, because that's where the consumer is going to find your brand for the very first time. And if it's not going to create that attention for them, they may not ever find it. So that's, advice number one. Advice number two is really think carefully if this is something you truly believe in, like you truly love that idea. Because someone may say to you, let's set up, a credit card company. I'm definitely not passionate about credit cards. So really find that. So step number two. And I think step number three is like, you can create content now on YouTube and TikTok that, in seconds, and it costs you nothing. You can use all these AI tools. Go out and test it. Go and see if people watched it on YouTube and TikTok, if they like it. Make it funny, make it sad, whatever you want to do. But I think there is ways that you can test your ideas without even making a physical product. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about things this day and age, because I think that's how the consumer is going to find you. So start there first, and it costs you virtually nothing.
I love that.
So helpful.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to end with a hot take. So really, it's just give us a hot take, any category. What do you have?
Hot take. Ice baths don't work.
Really?
For everyone or
No, I'm
just
joking.
women?
I was going to say that because I just think that I've done it once, and I was like, that's painful as hell. No, my hot take. I think short form content is going to be the biggest form of content that everyone's going to be using in the future. It's going to be 70 to 80% of how people watch. We're not going to have 90-minute shows anymore. They're all going to be 1 and 2 minute episodes. And we're going to get there in the next couple of years.
I agree with
That's
that,
wild.
but I do think movies are getting longer. Like every time I go to a cinema, I'm like, why was I locked in here for 3 hours?
Locked in here.
Like movies used to be 60 to 90 minutes, maybe not 60, 90 minutes, max 2 hours.
No,
now
your
they're
attention
so
span just got shorter.
long.
That's so long. Well, I think also because what seemed like a long movie previously seems even longer now, because you're so used to watching things for 20 seconds.
True. That, and they're like, you're paying for this. You get so much free content that's good all the time. Like we have to make you feel like you get your money's worth, your $30 worth.
But I love my Yellowstone length shows.
I don't watch shows anymore.
It's really interesting. I just think that, people, old Hollywood are not making the same type of movies anymore.
Yeah.
And, when we had that transformational shift from movies to Netflix, and none of the actors ever wanted to go onto Netflix because they thought that was, below them. And then House of Cards came on, and then Kevin Spacey was there, and all these other big actors came on. And then now no one wants to go into short form videos because it's below them. When the first person crosses the line, they all come. And I think that's probably because at the same time, it goes back to the thesis that your customers are over there watching it on 2 minute episodes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why you're forcing them to go to a movie theater that they don't want to spend, or TV.
I mean, Bluey 7-minute episode's great.
The shorter the better for kids, because I'm
Yeah.
like, you get one episode. So it's like, great, 5 minutes, you're done. All right, well, that was so helpful, and I think there's a lot of great insight in there. So thank you so much for
Thanks
coming.
for having me. I really enjoyed being here, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.